Hey guys, and welcome to another Celtic Badger minisode, and this is all part of Celtic Badger Gaming. You might have seen before we played Joking Hazard, but this time we're playing a game that's a little more close to home. Because it's all about bullshitting, so it's perfect for us.
Here's me thinking you were going to it's from a local developer.
I'm still going, so we're still in this. We're committed. Yeah, I'm committed. No, but it's called Bragging Rights, and it was designed by Fickle Games, which is, I think we determined, majoritively Jen Carey. And others. Yeah.
A little star, asterisks, and others.
Bragging Rights is a competitive bullshitting game.
You have to put that on the box.
It's going there.
It's going to Kickstarter, or by the time this is released, it could be on Kickstarter, and if it is, you should check it out.
And the great thing for you is we're going to play a demo of it, so you can kind of get a feel for the game and then go find it in Kickstarter and support it and support indie gaming.
Hashtag Irish Indie Games.
That was a good pitch. Also, we're super prepared this time, unlike Joking Hazard. We have an overhead camera. Look.
So
hey!
You'll be able to see all the cards.
Yeah.
So we're totally new. We're total noobs to this.
We have not played this yet.
So Jen is going to explain what we got to do.
Okay, so Bragging Rights is a game of competitive bullshitting, as Paddy already said. It's a game for 3 to 7 players, so there's quite a bit of variety there. The main idea behind the game is that everyone is a really incompetent criminal, and we're all trying to one-up each other by saying that we all committed a certain crime. The catch is none of us actually committed the crime, and we're all just trying to explain away the evidence that's at the scene by coming up with the most ludicrous and frankly bullshit stories possible. So at the start of the game, you can choose to play as a character. You can make up your own characters and stick with them, or you can play as the characters that are on these cards. If you want, you can have them randomly assigned, or you can choose them yourself. So each character, they've got a certain appearance. They also have different traits. So, for example, Chris Fresco Johnson is creative, a skilled artist, pretentious, a master of misdirection, and he loathes technology. Which means when you're telling your stories and you're pretending to be Fresco Johnson, then you can't use technology because that's completely out of character. But you're an extremely skilled artist, so you could just paint a wall so it looks like, a door and go totally, Wile-E Coyote on it.
Nice.
So
he had me at pretentious, and then it was hey, loves technology. I was like, dang it.
Yeah.
Pretentious hate.
Love it.
So on top of the characters, we have crime cards. And these are all just ridiculous, but yet brag-worthy crimes that you can talk about. So you can have movie props stolen from Comic-Con, Stonehenge moved so no longer lines up, or avocado shipment replaced with giant grapes, as you do.
Oh, I love it.
So at the start of the game, one of these is chosen and it gets turned over. And then everybody gets 5 evidence cards. The evidence cards are all odd things that would appear at the scene. So you could get porcelain unicorn, a deck of cards with the 9s removed, 15 marbles, or a nice photo frame.
I love how random this game is.
Beautiful.
Each of the players chooses 1 card to go into a play pile that's going to turn up in the game, 1 card to discard because they can't think of any reason they can use it, and then they end up with 3 cards in their hand. These come in later for when you're swapping out evidence. So at the start of the game, everyone should have, just before we start telling our stories, there should be 1 crime turned over. There should be a pile of 5 cards of evidence. If you have less than 5 players, you just take extra evidence cards from the deck. So pile of evidence, everyone has 3 pieces of evidence in their hand, and you also have these things called street cred.
Street cred.
Street cred. This is what everybody wants in the game.
I'm hungry for street cred.
So when you're getting your street cred, everybody gets the number of players plus 1. So in this case, there's 3 of us, so everybody gets 4 street cred. So the street cred are used in your challenges. So if a piece of evidence gets turned over, so say a deck of cards with the 9s removed, And I'm trying to explain how this was left at the avocado shipment that was actually giant grapes. And I could say something like, I was actually attacking the guards. I was distracting them. And what I did was I took the 9s out of the deck because everyone knows the 9s are the most aerodynamic of the cards. It's got to do with the print quality. So they're the only ones that would fly straight and actually hit the guards so I could knock them out in the first place. And now Paddy could say, that's complete bullshit. I've heard that the 7s actually have the best quality for
I have
drawing
heard
cards.
that. Not gonna lie.
It's true. And then I'll have to defend it. So if I defend it in a way that's completely convincing, and you're going to be the one voting on it, you vote on who you're convinced by. Did I defend that the 9s are the best?
Nice.
Or is Paddy right that the 7s are the best?
Okay.
And whichever one of us wins according to you, or if there's more players according to the group, they get the street cred. So to wager like a proper challenge instead of just like banter, you have to place it down in front of the person and go, I challenge you, and then say the thing.
Okay.
It feels like something from a Japanese anime, like boom! Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. It just feels like
Totally.
you get to intimidate people with your street creds.
So the other part of it is swapping evidence. So when a piece of evidence gets turned over, so pretend this is from the play file. So when a piece of evidence gets turned over, before the first player starts speaking, you can choose to replace it with a piece of evidence from your hand. So if you're telling your amazing story about how you had a deck of cards with the 9s removed, and then it's like, there's a water pistol, and I can't figure out how to make a water pistol work in with this, then you can choose something from your hand and be like, you know what, screw it, it's going to be an empty Polaroid camera. And people can keep switching this out until the first player starts talking. Once they start talking, it's like it's over and you have to go.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we continue on for 5 pieces of evidence at 3 players. And then at the end of the game, we vote on who had the most entertaining story. Whoever has the best story wins the crown card, which is worth 5 points. And then you add that up to your street cred. Each piece of street cred is worth 1 point, and whoever has the most points wins.
Nice. Awesome. Sounds good. I'm game. Let's do this.
I'm scared, Barry. Like, what if this turns us against each other?
Paddy, we've taken it a vow.
I don't know. I feel like it'll just be like this podcast will come out and they'll be like, so that's when Paddy and Barry, like, that was when it all fell apart. Barry was like, no, I don't believe you, Ben.
Yeah. This is when the trust in our relationship goes.
Died.
Okay.
Never had this much street cred in my life.
Same.
I carry bags of it, so...
Oh!
Damn.
So then with the characters, as you say, is it a case that we can look through and pick one?
We can look through and pick one. So if you want to go through and find the character you want to be.
Oh, Paddy gets first choice.
And one of the things with the characters, you have to tell everybody who your character is, so they
Yeah,
know
of course.
so
they're
they
responsible.
they can kind of tell when you're bullshitting.
You
I like it.
bullshit?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, paid extra for it.
ridiculous.
You've been, like, making things up.
No, I call it bullshit. I've been around this block before.
I think the first one is the person that... this character is so like me in real life. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it doesn't matter, does it? Yeah.
I'm totally picking.
I'm Celia Sharp, by the way.
Hey Celia,
Fun.
looking well.
Celia Sharp.
She is a...
Computer pro... Oh, Jesus Christ. It took me... I was like, Celia Sharp, what's the fun? Computer programmer. That's so good. Quiet, inventor, and has a phobia of the colour green. I identify so hard with that last part.
Which is why you moved to the
Oh my
orange
God,
field
this-
of Venice.
They are at the moment. We haven't had seen... there's rain outside at the moment. It's so funny to be in Ireland and being shocked at seeing rain.
I'm very close to picking.
So not all these characters that you're seeing are final. Some of them have been changed. A lot of their names have been made like kind of like obvious satires. Celia Sharp stays the same though.
Yeah. It's so funny though, because like I just didn't. It was like Celia Sharp. That's a pun. About what? Oh, computer programmer.
Nerd.
Okay, so
I'm just going to show this to the peeps.
it's either Stacey Havoc or Artie Cryer. It's one of those two. I don't know which. Both are very like me. I think I'll go with Stacey.
Okay.
Stacey is obnoxious. Has perfect balance, but only on wheeled objects. Is a parkour specialist and has no upper body strength.
It's exactly the same as you guys.
So I'm going to go with Anita Sung, who is a bartender. She's charismatic and confident, silver-tongued, and constantly drunk.
Nice.
Do you have to roleplay? Do you have to be like constantly drunk when you're telling your story?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Smooth.
Smooth.
I love it.
Okay, so now, first the crime gets turned over.
Mm-hmm.
So our crime is Easter Island heads given mohawks and punk makeover. And we all take 5 pieces of evidence.
Meow.
Okay. I have 5 pieces of evidence. Oh, I think I have 6.
Oh, I have 6 too.
God,
I'll put them
you
at the bottom.
guys.
We're totally cheating.
Hashtag noobs. I put it underneath. There you go. See? It's like shuffling them.
Okay, so let's call this our play pile.
Okay.
And put discarded cards here.
Oh, okay. So
And then you keep 3 of them.
you keep 3. So you put 1 in the play pile.
Yep.
Discard 1.
And keep 3.
So this is discard?
Yep.
Okay. Alright.
Wait, I need to get rid of 1, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to pull your character card in just a little there, Paddy. You're on the edge.
And since there's only 3 players, and 3 players play up to 5 cards, you just take 2 random pieces of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Add to play pile, and we shuffle. And then the first player is the person who most recently committed a crime.
That was me.
So, what was it?
I am.
You're admitting it on camera now.
Oh, wait.
Like in real life.
In real life?
Yeah.
I literally right down here.
The truth is, I was lying.
So you're,
Okay.
okay, so that makes you the first player.
Yes.
Misdirection. So the storytelling goes clockwise. So you'll start off, and then
Okay.
we'll Patty, and then we meet. But the first player, so the person who goes when the first piece of evidence turns over, goes anti-clockwise. So it'll go from you to me to Patty, and then back around.
Okay.
So you turn over the first piece and start your story.
For mismatched chopsticks. So now I can change that for one of the ones in my hand if I want.
Yeah, or we can change it. You don't change it, you put it on top of it, but yeah,
Okay,
or
yeah,
we
yeah.
can do that as well.
Okay.
And it all stops once you start telling your story.
Okay. So in all of my awesomeness, I decided that Easter Island hasn't been updated in a while. You know, everything needs to be updated and refreshed. So I was like, what better time to update Easter Island than we just bought tickets to a Real Big Fish gig, and we're like, we're totally going old school punk. It's like, we're going to pierce their ears, we're going to give them mohawks, Apparently they have bodies underneath. We wanted to put leather jackets on them, but we couldn't dig that far. So what we did was we couldn't find a way to get the mohawks to stay on. So we brought 4 chopsticks with us. And the plan was to nail them in with the chopsticks because, we didn't want to smuggle nails and stuff like that in because it was going to be far too obvious that we were up to no good. So we had old Chinese food containers with us and we brought the chopsticks. And we tried to use the chopsticks and we managed to get one of the mohawks in, but we broke the other chopsticks. So we thought it was pretty sweet.
Do you want a challenge? No?
No, it all seems pretty legit. Like,
Well, that sounds like a great story. But no, it's not. It's not. So the reason there's 4 mismatched chopsticks at Easter Island was Easter eggs. So what we did was I decided these heads, they will look pretty, okay, and they want to look pretty punk, but they want to look pretty. So I was like, I'm going to give one a great updo. I'm going to give them a nice bun, and we're going to have the chopsticks in it, so that there's a hint of class. And then when I got there, turns out they don't have hair. Like, what the fuck? So I was like, screw you guys, and I just left the chopsticks, and we still made them pretty, but it wasn't pretty but classy, like I liked it.
Nice. So if you did the crime, there's a play happening here. It's a power play.
I don't know if I buy your story.
Okay. What?
The thing I'm wondering about is you said when you got there that they had no hair.
Yeah.
So you didn't give them an updo. And also, wait a minute, actually, the bigger factor of this all is that you said you just put an updo on one of them. Why did you have 4 mismatched chopsticks?
Okay. Obviously you don't understand how hairstyling works.
That's not a lie, that's true.
Yeah. So, what I wanted to do originally, okay, I wanted it to be like really cute. So I wanted to give it like 2 buns here. And then since you have the 2 buns, you put the 2 chopsticks in each bun. So they're on either side and it looks super adorable. And they're the cutest thing around. And all the other Easter Island heads were like, I want to be that Easter Island head because it's classy and it's cute, but it's still punk. I couldn't have them all looking like that because they're just like, ew, I can't believe you got the same hairstyle. Obviously.
You're the judge.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Jen. That was a pretty convincing argument.
It's pretty legit. I just wanted to see how this played out. Is it me? So, I was desperately trying to get away from anywhere that had any hint of green. So, I hopped on the first plane I could to Easter Island because I heard it was quite rocky and stony. There was these big heads out there. And basically, like, I decided I wanted to go for, like, I figured Easter Island was in, like, Asia. So I said I'd get some, Thai food or something. But it turns out that, like, it's nowhere near that side of Asia. So I ended up having to just, like, scavenge around the place to look for some chopsticks to eat my food. But the problem is that whenever I eat, like, Chinese, like, any kind of Asian food, I have an issue where I slip into a trance. And, like, I just see binary. And it just makes me do uncontrollable things. So in this instance, I kind of came to lying on the beach, 4 chopsticks around me, and there was just mohawks all over the Easter Island heads. And I had to get on a plane and get out of there as quick as I could, and that's why I'm here.
Nice. I love this game. Okay.
So you believe Celia?
There's I don't feel there's enough to challenge. But at the same time, there are my punk heads.
Okay.
So next round.
Yeah, first player moves anti-clockwise, so I'm next, and it is a shag rug.
Curious.
Okay.
I'm going to change it for scalpel snapped in two. And you see, the reason there was a scalpel snapped in two there is because some of these Easter Island heads were not that. I don't want to say they're not pretty, but they're not pretty. So, I thought being as talented as I am, I graduated from 3 beauty colleges at once. I thought that I would help him out a little bit. So, I went up to one of them. I called him George. Because I was like, "Hi, George, you look cool." And he was like, "Yeah." And then I was kind of like, "How are you talking to me? You're just a head thing." And then this other guy was like, "That was me talking." I was like, "Why are you talking?" It was very confusing. But I said, "You know what? I'm going to give you a little bit of a facelift." Just a little bit of work. Not a lot of work. I didn't want him to look artificial. I wanted to have great motion in his face. So I just, I was just defining his cheekbones a bit more. It's like you do this with scalpels when you do it on stone. It's just contouring, but it's contouring for a stone face. So I was like, I just want to get better lines here, and I managed to get it all worked on George. But there's just this little bit right here on him that his cheekbone just kind of disappears because the scalpel snapped in half and I couldn't do the rest of it. So if you look at George, you see a little bit here. And if you don't know who George is, he's the one who has a little bit here.
Fair. I'm going to call bullshit.
Oh.
Whoa.
Who was this other guy you were talking to? This
George.
No, not George.
No, real George.
The other guy.
He said his name was George too. That's why he answered when I said George.
Yeah, and was he an accomplice in this crime, or why did he not stop you in this crime?
Well, you see, George is one of the people that I brought from my pub.
Brought from your pub?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Free shots for whoever helps me fix their faces," and people were like, "I'm gonna fix your face." I was like, "Hey, shots." And he came with me, and then apparently I thought I lost him on the way there because I was like, "I'm going to go fix the faces," and then I was like, "George," and then he started talking. I was like, "What the fuck?" So yeah, he followed me from the bar.
So George was the name of your friend and the name of the stone-faced Easter Island guy.
George was not my friend. He was the person who followed me from my bar, and the name of the Easter Island guy.
Did you give George the free shots?
Of course, obviously.
Where did you keep the shots?
In the bottle of the alcohol.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This is hard.
It is. It's difficult.
I can't buy that they were both called George. And I know you would name him after the guy that followed you there, but
It's a little creepy.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you'd give George free shots. Like, you're a confident, strong woman. Like, you got money to
my
make.
own bar and
Yeah.
knows when to give people free shots because they just assisted me in a crime.
But like, but he didn't. He just stood there.
He didn't tell on me though. I mean, come on. What more do you want?
I don't know. Just doesn't add up. In all the cases I've seen.
as a hard criminal.
No.
Okay.
But you just give double.
Now I give my one. And
yeah,
I
the one he had placed down.
So what happens in this case is if your story gets challenged and it's like it falls down, you have either a choice of telling a new story, which can't get challenged, or just sticking with the story and everyone just goes with it and it's all good and it can't be challenged again.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
So what are you going to do?
I'm just sticking with George. I don't care if you don't believe George is dead. My Georges were there.
So it's this way now?
Yeah.
No. It's
No,
this way.
Oh, it goes back to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for clockwise for evidence.
Well, the reason that we had a broken scalpel was because, like that, we decided that, if we're going to make leather outfits for these guys and we're going to cut mohawks, it's like, we better bring tools. So me and a bunch of my skater friends decided we should rob the local veterinary surgery because, we got to get tools from somewhere. I mean, we can't afford them. We're broke as shit. So we go in, we rob a couple of tools, we bring them in, get to Easter Island. We cut up all our leather and stuff that we brought with us, and we were like, oh fuck, it's only heads. It's like, they can't be punk with just heads. It's like the only way we can definitively say that these guys are punk is if we give them all mohawks. So we tried to carve in the mohawk originally with the scalpel, which obviously didn't work, it broke, but I did end up falling off one of the heads as well because I didn't bring my board, so I wasn't as stable as I should be. But we broke the scalpel, and then we were like, fuck it, we're just going to have to make it from the grass. So we cut pieces of turf and sod and grass, and then we get them grass mohawks. That was the easiest way to go.
Were they green?
Oh, yes. Oh, they were green. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. That seems solid. It was the fact that you fell off.
Yeah, man.
That made me believe it.
Fucking broke both my arms.
Oh, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when I came to on the beach, and I looked around and I saw these heads defaced, I really just I kind of started to freak out. Started to kind of go into myself, and I was just panicking. And then I started hearing noises. People were coming, and I just remembered that something I'd seen in like a Rambo movie. I had a scalpel with me because I was planning on. No, I'm gone. I've lost. I forgot about it. No.
You got this.
No. No, I don't know why I had a
Come on,
scalpel.
Celia. Come on.
No. What do you do in this instance if somebody loses it? Is it just like...
Just bullshit.
This is like me when I hit movie trailer voice.
Yeah.
I know how that feels.
So the reason I had a scalpel with me is because I wanted to take a sample from one of the Easter Island heads, because as an inventor, there's a lot of people say things about those heads that they've come from space, that they're not really from, they weren't made here. So I wanted to take a sample of one of the rocks to check that it was actually not from Earth. So the scalpel was actually fine when I came to on the beach. But obviously I thought if people turned up and saw me with a scalpel, they'd think I was dangerous. And obviously I am dangerous, but I didn't want any additional heat on me, especially after what I'd just done. So I put the scalpel between my teeth. I didn't realise how hard I was biting. So I snapped the scalpel in my mouth, which is quite sore. I still have a little cut here. And I kind of, because I thought I'd seen that in a Rambo movie, figured it was the right thing to do, but instead I had to try and, I was going to try and kind of slink off through the grass, but yet again, I got too freaked out and just turned and kind of buried myself in the sand until everybody had left, and just left me alone with some chopsticks and a broken scalpel. And shame and regret.
Nice. I like it.
See, what happened to me there was I decided I wanted to start with I decided I wanted the scalpel and mouth thing before I had a reason for that.
You had a punchline before the
Yeah,
joke.
exactly. Like the third act, but not the first and second.
I love the scars. That's what I was scared. It's nice. Cool.
So you're first player now.
Oh, okay.
Turn over the next piece.
So we do all 5 rounds, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, nice.
An antique leather jacket.
I'm ready.
I'm sorry, Barry. I gotta ruin your buzz. But sorry. So I'm slinking away. I'm in the sand, and I feel something against my leg, and I'm quite freaked out at this point because, as I say, I've just tried to go through grass, and people have nearly caught me defacing these Easter Island heads. And I look down, and there's clearly been some kind of a ritual here. Because just at my leg on this beach was just a burnt rabbit's foot. So immediately I picked up the rabbit's foot and I threw it into the ocean as fast as I could. Because that's bad luck. And I don't like that kind of stuff. Yeah, there we go.
I'm so glad you went first. Because I really thought that said a signed rabbit foot.
Oh, is that what you were going to say? No, there's loads of inconsistency in mine, so I'm glad Jim went as well.
So, if you picked it up and threw it into the ocean, how was it left as evidence at the scene?
Because, as you know, the ocean has tides. And the tides, I threw it, and obviously, like, within a little bit of time, it had washed back in by the heads. It's science. It's nature.
Pure science.
Oh, that's science.
I mean, Paddy's onto it. I mean, rabbit's foot float.
Was that mine?
Yeah.
You heard. I can't believe I got away with that.
So, after we had contoured George, we were working on the mohawks on all the Easter Island heads. So, we had to try and find the best way of getting the hair to, like, stick up. It wasn't very easy because, as I told you, I found out they don't actually have hair when I was with the chopsticks. So, we were like, okay, I guess we have to work with what God gave us, which are giant rock heads. So, the first thing that we did was we started to build these like little fires on top of the heads because we figured it would make the stone softer so we could like squish it into the shape we wanted. And since everyone knows Easter Island heads are actually like made by aliens from outer space rock, it worked. So, while we were squishing these around, there are still bits of the fire that are falling around, and I always have 3 lucky rabbit's feet. And it always has to be 3. But one of them, I call it Bobbity. Bobbity got singed by some of the falling embers, because Bobbity is the one that I wear on my belt here, rather than Bibbity, which is here, or Boop, which is on my ankle. So, Bobbity was here, and I was pushing the mohawk, and I was like making them all fancy and pretty, and it got singed. And I'm not going to walk around with a singed rabbit foot, because that's not a good look. That's like, if it's so lucky, why is it singed? So I took it off, and I was like, Bobbity, I love you, but I gotta leave you, and that's why it's at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds legit.
Well, the real reason there's a singed rabbit foot is because me and my skater buddies, we decided, you know, as well as the mohawks, we wanted to pierce their ears. So we were like, what's more punk rock than like a good luck charm hanging from your ear? So we brought a couple of rabbit's feet. One of which was signed by Johnny Rotten. The other was actually burned on Iggy Pop's cigarette. So we obviously, when we were, you know, once the cops showed up, we were like, we gotta run. We can't get caught in here. We grabbed the one that was signed because obviously we were trying to sell it on eBay, so they would have been easily able to trace it back to us. Whereas only we knew that it was singed on Iggy Pop's cigarette.
I kind of... Like, I don't want to make a challenge on it, but I do want to kind of just, like, how you managed to grab the stuff and run away with 2 broken arms.
Oh, I didn't grab it. It was Jim. Jim grabbed it.
Oh, Jim did it.
Yeah, he also grabbed my board because I couldn't, because I have 2 broken arms.
Okay.
Yeah.
They weren't very lucky rabbits, James.
No,
you had 2 broken arms.
Well, you see, Jim had all the rabbit's feet, I had the scalpel, so... yeah. I mean, if he had spared one of the rabbit's foot, maybe I would have had both arms.
Oh. So who's the next?
Next best player?
It's back to me. Red brick. So, the reason there was a zipper was because we had cut all the leather and we were determined to give these guys leather jackets. The best thing we could do was to lay the leather around the edge and add the zip like it would be if it was all the way up. Because we figured, because we couldn't get access to their body because I had 2 broken arms, so I couldn't dig down to where their bodies were. And Jim was already carrying, all the stuff that we had grabbed. We were like, we'll put the leather on the corner and we'll add the zipper, and that's the best way to imply they had a leather jacket without actually doing all the work.
Well, the reason there was a zipper there... Oh, it's you next? Go.
Wait. No, it's you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? No problem.
I was confused in the line.
No. It's...
Yeah, because we're not in the circle.
No, she's hammer. She's hammer.
Stop! Hammer time!
I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but the reason that there was a zipper at the scene of that crime was I decided I wanted to eat Chinese food or Asian food in Asia, so that was why I went to Easter Island. And the other thing, I mentioned that I have blackouts when I eat Asian food, but I also didn't mention that I have a really bad bloating problem with it. So basically, while I was sitting at the base of the head, before any of this happened, I was eating the food and my zipper just popped off, like flew off, and just it actually chipped one of the Easter Island heads as well. So forevermore, people will say that chip that came from the zipper
Of
Celia Sharp.
Love it. I'm not at all surprised you have a bloating problem. We've been living in this apartment. I fucking do. I'm ready.
Okay.
Anita, what happened?
Now, this is... Up until this point, this story was just very happy. And it's unhappy stories. But this zipper... See, this wasn't my zipper. This was George's zipper.
Oh, no.
What happened was, after I gave George the free shots, George starts being like, George. And he comes over to me, and this is when we had the fires going, we were squooshing up the hairstyles, it was really, it was intense. And he was like, hey, Anita, and I was like, what is it, George? Not Easter Island George. George. I was like, what up, George? And he's like, what has 40 teeth and holds back the Incredible Hulk? I was like, what? He goes, my zipper! So, I nicest what any respectable young woman would do, and I pushed him into the fire. And it caught his jeans. I mean, I'm shocked it caught his jeans. So he took his jeans off, and the jeans obviously burnt. But they didn't burn the zipper. The zipper stayed there. Well, he just left it there, and we laughed at George because he had no jeans, and he had like 2nd-degree burns, but it was worth it.
When you say we, you mean...
The royal we.
Oh, okay. Not you and Easter Island
Yeah,
George.
Easter Island George.
I'm sure Easter Island George would have appreciated
chuckling.
it, but he was facing this way when we were here, so he would have heard the scream, so he wouldn't have seen it, so he might have only sniggered a little bit.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
This party teeth goes back.
Someone has obviously used that before.
It's incredible. That's so good. But bad, but good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
So last piece of evidence. A box kite.
Is it that whoever puts it down has to start talking immediately?
No, it's always me that's going
Yeah?
usually,
Okay.
but
Oh, okay.
so the reason there's a company branded bottle there. This is twofold, but I only thought of one of the folds while I was there, but I thought of the second fold later. It was great. Great. You don't want to plan everything at once. It doesn't work that way. So, as I said, I have been giving George 3 shots. Where do you think the shots came from? A bottle. This was the company branded bottle. And now, you can say, why did you have your company's branded bottle there? Because that's not a good idea, because you go in the bar, and here's the thing. This is the second fold that I thought of later. No one would be dumb enough to leave their own company's branded bottle there, so it has to be someone who took one from the bar. Also, everybody knew George was there at the bar, so I could say, hey, George just stole a bottle of drink and he ran East Island. And people go, I saw George at that bar. So I'm really just setting George up for the fall. That's why it's there.
It's devious.
Yes.
She is a criminal.
And he has really bad pickup lines.
I like your story, but the real reason that there's branded bottles there is because what's more punk rock than getting smashed on Easter Island with a bunch of punk rock Easter Island heads? So obviously we brought a couple of beers for that big heads because, you know, they're going to need it. So what we did was we brought a really big bottle, and we thought it'd be really comical because they're really big heads. So we brought a really big bottle, and we kind of divvied it out, me and Jim and Dave.
Fucking Jim, man.
I know, man. So we divvied it out, and then we left the little bottle at the side because we were like, oh, it'll look like he got totally pissed and got stuck in the ground. So we left everything, we staged it, and then just like that, the siren started going, and then we ran. I wish I could have drank more, but because I had 2 broken arms, I really had no option. So we did kind of like shotgun it. They held it for me. I was like, and then I kind of, I got a little drunk, but not as drunk as I would have if I had both my arms. But yeah, we grabbed all our boards and stuff, and we got the fuck out of there.
The real reason that there was a company branded bottle at the scene of the crime was, remember how I said I suffer from a problem with bloating? I carry around it's kind of like what's that stuff for like when your stomach's like a Gaviscon. But I don't like carrying Gaviscon around in its own in the Gaviscon bottle, because people are like, oh, that person has a problem with bloating and their stomach and stuff, so they're probably gross, don't sit next to them on a flight. So instead, I said I put my own company's brand on it, just so that I would be the only one that would know. And you can bet your ass that I'm pretty fucking sad that I left that behind. Because, you know, when the cops came, I was like, oh shit, they're going to find my company branded bottle. They'll know it was me. They'll know about my bloating problem. So I was pretty embarrassed.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. That's awesome.
I object.
Okay, so now if we want, we can recap stories, or we just vote on what our favorite story was.
I don't mind. Do you want to do a recap, or do you want to skip that?
Maybe for the viewers at home, a recap would be good.
Okay.
From the top with feeling.
Okay. So me and a couple of my skater buddies decided it'd be great fun to like update Easter Island and make them kind of like more punk rock, bring them into the future. So we grabbed our boards, we headed over to Easter Island. We originally, our plan was to put them in leathers and stuff like that, but then we realized they're just heads. So we brought the chopsticks from our food that we brought over with us, and we used that to staple in the grass that became their mohawks. We broke a couple of them, but that's fine because they're rock and whatnot. But we got their green mohawks on. We were gonna cut up the leathers and stuff like that with a scalpel, but unfortunately, without my board, I had no balance, so I totally fell off. Broke the scalpel, broke both my arms, and the rest of the guys kind of brought other trinkets and stuff like that because we were gonna pierce their ears. So we had a signed rabbit foot by Johnny Rotten, and we had a rabbit's foot that was burned by a Iggy Pop cigarette. So we pierced their ears. That was pretty cool. We did bring the signed one with us when we left because we wanted to sell it on eBay because it was worth more money. Jim brought that because I had both my arms broken. We also had the zipper, which is from our leather jacket, that we couldn't obviously dig down because I had two broken arms. So we just put the leather around the outside and put the zipper on, and we implied that they got so drunk they stuck in the ground and the leather is underneath. And then, of course, you can't be punk rock without booze. So we brought our giant bottle of booze that we all drank a little bit from, and then we left beside the Easter Island guys, and it looked like
he has a name. His name is George.
No, he wasn't George to us. He didn't tell us his name, and he didn't give us consent, so we didn't want to put a name on him or her.
So, that's a great story. What happened was I decided I want to give the Easter Island a nice little makeover. So, first I went in and was like, I want them to be classy and cute. So I brought some chopsticks to put up in their hair. They're going to have little buns. It's going to be chopsticks. It's going to be adorable. It's going to be classy. It turns out they don't actually have hair, so it didn't really work. So what we decided, since they didn't actually have hair, was, first of all, we wanted to do a little bit of contouring to get their cheekbones looking on fleek. So I got out the scalpel and started, just etching away at their cheekbones. And the one that I started doing the cheekbones on is a very lovely Easter Island head called George. So I managed to get most of the cheekbones done except for this little bit here, because then the scalpel broke, and it's like, oh well, guess only George has contours done. And then what happened was we were like, okay, these are like magical alien rocks, right? They won't act like normal rocks. So we decided we're going to set these like fires on top of them to see if we could squish the hair. And it actually really worked. So we were like, whoa, fire for the squishy hair. But I have like these rabbit foots that make me super duper lucky. And one of them, Bobbity, is at my waist, and it got singed by the falling embers. So I had to leave it there because that is just totally hypocritical to have a damaged rabbit foot. While I was there, George, not Easter Island head George, other George, George from the pub George, you know George? Yeah, that George. He followed me because I was like, I give you free shots. And I was like, okay, I guess it's my fault that I started giving free shots, but fine. Let's move past that. George is like, what has 40 teeth and holds back the Incredible Hulk? It was my zipper, and I was like, fuck you, George! And I pushed him into the fire, and his trousers caught fire, and so we had to take them off because they were on fire. And then the zipper was left behind because obviously it's metal, it doesn't really burn. And the company branded bottle was left there because that was where I was giving George all the shots from. And I'll be honest, I gave him a few free shots after I burned them because I was like, it was fun, but it was maybe a little bit neat. And yeah, that's what happened.
So, I was desperate to get away from anywhere green. I just couldn't bear it anymore. So I was like, I want to go away and I want to go somewhere barren and kind of, not much green there and stuff. But I also wanted Asian food. So I've heard about Easter Island. I was like, yeah, that's in the Pacific Ocean. I'll go there. That's probably good. They've probably got Asian food. So I got there. I found out it wasn't that kind of Asia. So I had to basically run around and find for chopsticks. They weren't all together. Some of them had like little detailing on them, and some of them didn't. And it was kind of annoying because I don't like things like that when they don't line up. So I'm sitting down and I'm eating I was eating my food, my Asian food at the base of one of the Easter Island heads. And that was when it suddenly clicked to me that, oh my god, this is Easter Island. These heads, they come from space, so they're a different kind of rock, a different kind of property. So I always carry a scalpel, always. And being an inventor, it's just one of the things you got to do. So I took it out and I started, chipping away at the rock, and it broke, which was upsetting to me. And then I heard the sound of sirens and things, and I got quite scared. So I was about to run into the bushes, and then I realised yet again that these bushes are green. Absolutely terrified me. Went back, lay in the sand, and kind of people started to pass by. But then I freaked out because right by my foot was, or right by me was this ritualistic kind of thing that had obviously been done on the beach, and there was just a burnt rabbit's foot at my leg, and it freaked me out. So I picked it up and threw it in the ocean. But luckily, it washed back later, and for this story to please make sense. Basically, I had really bad stomach problems that night after eating the Asian food, and my zipper had actually flown off my pants because of heavy bloating problems, which I then took like an antacid for, which I carried around in a bottle with my own personal company's logo on it, because I don't want to be embarrassed by people seeing that I have stomach problems, but this has been pretty embarrassing.
You missed the part where you blacked out the first time.
Yeah.
He blacked it out.
Yeah.
True.
I remember not remembering things.
Don't remember not remembering. Exactly, yeah. Jump straight from that to that, yeah.
I like it.
Okay, are we good to vote?
Yeah.
I get to vote.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh. Yay!
Yay! You won!
I win the thing.
So that's yours 5, and then you add up your street cred.
I win the thing. And then I have my street cred, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you 10.
Woo!
Yay!
Tiny tap, 10 points.
Yay! That was fun, you guys.
That was fun.
I had a mercury thermometer as well that I was gonna.
I had 3 old comic books.
Ooh.
I didn't play as many as... Yeah, I didn't put down as many evidence cards.
If you get to the end and there's a tie, so if there's a tie and the story winner is in the tie, they automatically win. But if there's a tie without the story winner, then your leftover evidence cards are your tiebreaker.
Okay. So it's actually better to not play them if needs be.
Yeah, it's kind of like half and half, because if you play them, you're more likely to get an advantage during the game. But yeah,
I had a ruler made of biscuit.
A ruler made of biscuit. I like it.
It was very tempting at points.
Man, this fucking shag rug, that was going to be my mohawk. And this leather jacket, that was that was the one we were going to model the leather jackets off. What was this one? A red brick? I had nothing for a red brick. I
Mine-
put down zipper though, so...
I was like when it was red brick, I was like, okay, so the ritual with the rabbit in the sand, all the bricks around this ritual thing.
I was just going to use it as like blusher.
Ah, nice. Very
So
clever.
good.
Russian doll I put down as well, because I was going to be like, so the easiest way to pack all the stuff that we brought was in a Russian doll.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's
That was
so
great.
good.
I really enjoyed that. That's a lot of fun.
Awesome, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And if you want to play that game, you can support this project on Kickstarter.
Damn straight you can.
So this is
The prototype.
prototype, right?
Yeah. So the final version is changed a little bit. These cards are more of like a yellowy color.
Mm-hmm.
We just find that like it just works better. There's some things you can't tell until you actually print them out.
Yeah.
And then the character cards, some of the names have changed, and also we've improved the contrast here so they're easier to see.
Yeah.
And the text here is easier to read as well because it's a little bit hard to read now.
Awesome. It's great. I like the detail in these cards, like the little coffee stains and stuff like that in the evidence thing. It's very nice. Very cool.
There's like the rings and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I really like the character designs.
The character designs are really cool.
I think they're
They
really
actually look
solid.
like those like hand drawn ones from what's that game? The Daddy game, Daddy Dater.
Are you on about Dream Daddy?
Dream Daddy. That's the one. It looks like that sort of hand drawn sculpted features. I really like it.
I take it. This was all Baz.
This is all Baz.
I
yeah.
knew it straight away. As soon as I looked at them, I was like,
This
"That's
one is
Baz's
really cool.
art style." Like,
So all of the art in the game, aside from the images on the evidence cards,
Yeah.
each one has a unique image based on what the evidence is. So those were done by an illustrator called Nine Arrow, and everything else, the art design and the characters and the box and everything is
everything
done
is
by
all Baz. Baz Lunan.
Nice.
Yeah, I knew straight away from the art style that it was Baz.
What was the other? There was another character that I was. Oh yeah, this was the other one that I was interested in being, which was Artie Cryer, who is uncertain, a struggling jack of all trades, implausibly lucky, and stutters under pressure. And literally, I was like, I won't be able to stutter. That's the only thing that stopped me. Whereas I was like, I can definitely play like the skateboarding, perfect balance, but only on wheeled objects.
I all I wanted to milk was the phobia of green.
I couldn't hide in the bushes because they were green.
Oh, that's great. Seriously, Jen, best of luck with it.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
So this has been another episode of Celtic Badger Gaming. Let us know if you'd like to see us play any other board games. We definitely got to play Rambunctious on here.
Oh, hells yeah.
And we need Brian O'Regan for that
We need
episode.
Brian O'Regan on that one, for sure.
But is that just like automatically setting up the winner? Because like...
Yeah, well, I mean, in that game you're playing for second.
So yeah, as per usual, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, for checking us out, for being patrons, which is pretty freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a patron, because when this eventually goes out elsewhere, why not?
You would have seen it before anyone else if you were.
No, but genuinely, even if you're seeing this on Facebook and YouTube and everything, thank you so much for checking it out, and support Bragging Rights.
Make it happen. Kickstarter. Link below, link in the description, link wherever you can put links. They're there.
Give them money, yo!
Bye, guys.
Here.
You didn't do it twice.
Thank you guys.
Just and you need to clap.
Is that a second person?
Oh, wait. We should table clap. Oh, you could have done table clap. You could do table clap.